Baseball America has its top 100 prospect list out. Here is the top 10. According to Baseball America, long considered an expert on the topic, Wander Franco, Luis Robert, and Joe Adell represent the very cream of the crop. You'll see some familiar names here like Jesus Luzardo, Gavin Lux, who have already had substantial major league experience. Adley Rutschman, former number 1 overall pick just a summer ago, already the number 5 prospect in the land.
College guy, maybe. That's why.
Okay. Yeah, let's ask J.J. Cooper about it personally. J.J., the executive editor of Baseball America magazine, joining us on the program. J.J., good morning. Hey, let's talk about the top 10, specifically Franco, Robert, and Adell. Do we expect them to be contributors at the major league level as soon as opening day this year, perhaps?
I would say definitely on Luis Robert. I would say possibly on Joe Adell, although probably a little later than that. And I think Wander Franco, we're talking a late 2020 ETA, which is going to be really fast. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's going to play this whole season as a teenager. So that's going to get him way ahead of schedule for the average top prospect.
I saw Gavin Lux play last year at the end of the season for the Dodgers. He is going to be a fantastic player. What's your reports on him?
This is what the Dodgers do. I mean, if you've been watching, what they do year after year is they keep producing impact players who step right in. And really the big question with Gavin Lux, I think they're going to find room for him, is that this is already obviously a stacked lineup. I know there's a lot of Dodgers fans who seem a little frustrated they haven't made any big moves in the offseason to acquire a big-name free agent. But the reality is Gavin Lux is probably going to be one of the significant additions to the 2020 Dodgers, because you're talking about another guy who could be, at the start of his career, a top or, a 1-2 or a 5-6 hitter, but a guy who could be a middle-of-the-order bat down the road.
JJ, for a lot of the players in your top 100 list, and it's a quote-unquote prospect list, they've already made their major league debuts, and in the case of a handful, they've logged in some decent service time, right? In the case of, say, Sean Murphy, who the A's are very high on behind the plate, a full 2 months of starting experience down the stretch. What were the thresholds to still be considered a prospect?
So the thresholds we've used going back to basically our first top 100 in 1990 is we don't look at service time, but we do look at number of at-bats for rookie standards, so 130 at-bats, and number of innings. 50 innings is the when you graduate from being eligible for Rookie of the Year. We also have added, we actually call it the Daniel Bard rule. There was a year that Daniel Bard was up for the full year as a reliever, didn't get 50 innings, so now it's also 30 appearances as a pitcher, 30 appearances as a reliever, and you graduate off the list. We do also make, if you come over from Japan or Cuba or whatever, we're not looking at your age. If you're Rookie of the Year eligible, we're going to consider you for the list. Ichiro Suzuki's been on it in the past. Shohei Ohtani was on it. This year, we didn't think any of the Japanese imports cracked the top 100.
I can still remember when I was 17, 18 years old and making it in Baseball America. That was the Bible. I mean, to get in that.
Oh, yeah.
JJ, I wanted to ask you a question just because he is one of my favorite teammates of all time, Bobby Witt Sr. I know his son just spent his first summer in professional baseball. How did that go?
It went up and down, I would say, first year getting acclimated. The thing that stands out, though, is he hit the ball exceptionally hard. A lot of hard ground balls right now. That's what you can tweak, what you can adjust in pro ball. The tools for Bobby Witt Jr. are exceptional. He is part of one of the parts of this top 100 I'm most excited about is we have a group of really young shortstops, really exciting shortstops. Him, C.J. Abrams, Marco Luciano. There's a group of guys who are in that kind of 20 to 25 range now who really should be the next wave of top 10 prospects we're talking about down the road, guys who really have a chance to be impact big leaguers and may move pretty quickly because all three of those guys are guys who just have the tools, have the feel to hit to potentially be offensive weapons who also play a premium defensive position.
I know you guys also pay attention to organizational property here in terms of which teams are trending in the right direction with more prospects in the top 100. It seems that from year to year, the Marlins and Cubs are looking better. The Astros have not placed as many players on your list as in years past.
Yeah, you look at what the Marlins did. The Marlins have added a lot of players. The JT Realmuto deal had not happened at this time last year when we did our top 100. So Sixto Sanchez added by them. Jazz Chisholm, they added in the deal with the D-backs. Jesus Sanchez, who they added from the Rays. They've brought in a lot of outside talent to go with a couple of guys who developed, that they've developed. We really like Edward Cabrera. You look at the Astros on the other end of the spectrum. Graduations hurt, like from this standpoint. Now they help the big leagues. Jordan Alvarez, him not being on the top 100 like he was last year is something that's good news for the Astros because he had an exceptional rookie season. Kyle Tucker, graduate as well. Traded away Corbin Martin. But you look at this Astros team now, and the only top 100 prospect we still have for them is Forrest Whitley. Jose Urquidy, who was really good in the playoffs for them, just missed it. But that's the first time we can say that with the Astros in a very long time, really going back to before the time when the Astros were rebuilding or tanking, whichever you want to call it. It's been a long time since the Astros have only had one guy on the top 100.
JJ, I think that's Adley Rutschman right behind you. Baltimore certainly could use any kind of good news. How quick will he be in the big leagues?
That's going to be fascinating to watch because he is a catcher, and catchers often take a little bit longer. But that being said, if you're going to talk about, there are examples of catchers moving extremely quickly. Pudge Rodriguez is the guy who always comes to mind. Pudge Rodriguez was big league ready at an age, when he was younger than Adley Rutschman is now. Part of that depends on kind of what the Orioles are in massive rebuild mode, so I don't think they're going to speed Rutschman, through the minors any quicker than they feel he needs to go. But he's a guy who I would not be surprised at all if they send him out, say high A to start this year, and he shows he's just too good for high A. It's not a challenge. Boom, he's in double A, and you could turn around, by the end of the season, see him in triple A. And again, really, if he was on a contender, maybe he would be up at the end of the season. Where the Orioles are, I think we're probably talking more of probably a 2021 ETA. But I would expect that he's going to move quite quickly. This is one of the best draft prospects we've seen, in last year's draft, that we've seen in the draft in quite a while.
Hey, before we hit the bottom of the hour break, JJ, have just a moment here to take a question from Harold Reynolds.
Yes, go. Yeah, great.
Harold, go ahead. You're on with JJ.
Where'd you learn all your English at?
How you doing, Harold?
What's happening, buddy? How you doing?
Good.
All right, Harold, that's enough of you. JJ Cooper, the executive editor of Baseball America magazine, good enough to share some of his thoughts on the magazine's top 100 prospect list. This is a big list, considered one of the resources that people go to often for learning about the talent in the minor league level, for sure. You guys have been at it for a long, long time. And we appreciate you coming on with us, JJ. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.